Greetings and salutations. Hey everybody, how's everybody doing on this fine Friday, June 10th? Yeah, June 10th already. We are halfway through the year almost, and I'm here for it. I'm ready to get through this summer. Houston is terrible this time of year. Those of you who have ever been down here know that it is super hot. It's only going to get worse. August is typically our hottest month, so not looking forward to that. But we're halfway through the year. If I can get past summer, then get into fall, then I'm a happy guy. I like that cooler weather. Prefer the winter because I live in Houston, and winters around here are like springs, other places. So, but welcome. Thanks for coming. Looks like we got a couple people showed up today. I don't really expect a lot of people to show up because I haven't been streaming consistently. I've been putting out some content here and there, but have not been streaming consistency. But my blood has been boiling recently. I've been going a little bit crazy recently, and I was really inspired yesterday with a couple of shows. If you don't watch Redacted, go check them out on YouTube. I don't have a fancy graphic for them or anything. I plan on putting together some links that I can post up here. They got me riled up yesterday with Clayton and Natalie Morris, and then David Foster, who's been kind of out of the picture for a while. He just got back from having neck surgery, and he went off the rails last night on his unapologetic show on his channel, and really kind of lit a fire under my butt. I was like, you know what, I'm kind of riled up too, and there's plenty to be riled up about. Yeah, thank you, Grim. So Grim Skull in the chat here. Thank you so much, Redacted News. And if you want, toss that David Foster unapologetic podcast link as well. That'd be awesome. But so here's the deal. I haven't been streaming a lot lately. I've been pretty busy. I've been trying to get content out when I can. So I'm trying to get a little bit more consistent. It's coming along. What's interesting is that my middle son is about to go off to college here in a couple months, so like around August time frame. And guess what I'm doing? I'm moving my production into that room. So my current production is in a more of an open space, if you will. There's no way to close the door and shut out the outside world in this room. So as a result, what happens is I have to find time to get out there and live stream. I got it's hard to do it in a quiet time because my sons are home. My wife, who works 4 days a week now, she has her own private practice, but Fridays are typically her time off, and I want to make sure that she has, she can go and watch TV if she wants. Right now, if she were to watch TV, you would be able to hear it, and that's no good for live. So hopefully in August, I'll get that production moved up to my own studio, my actual own studio. I know, right, Grim? So Grim, what are you hanging out in the? Are you hanging out in your? Oh, hey, there's Alex. Welcome, Alex. Grim, so where do you hang out in your dining room, or where are you hanging out? Again, this is it's almost like a formal living area that I've converted into a quasi studio. I will actually have a door come August. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. I'm going to shut it all off. I'm going to put some soundproofing up, and then I can have a true space to create content in, and I'm so excited about that. It's not an excuse, by the way. It's not an excuse, but it's something I'm really looking forward to, and it's really going to inspire me to do this a lot more. So, and then next thing I got to do is start a GoFundMe so I can get the Rodecaster Pro 2 and the Mac Studio, some extra lighting, that sort of thing. I need people to pay my way. Just kidding. I'm not going to ask for that. So Grim, your studio is technically the room, dining room, has no doors, just heavy moving blankets over the doors. Yeah, so I thought about that too, but I didn't want to put, because with those heavy moving blankets, you can't just put thumbtacks. I guess you could. You just put a bunch of thumbtacks. I didn't want to bang any nails or anything above the door frame, so it's wide open. I mean, I've got a barrier there so the dogs can't come in and get under my feet and jump on me and stuff, because they love to jump on me when I'm trying to do other things. So anyhow, so a lot of stuff going on in my life. I hope everybody is doing fine out there on the internet, and those of you who are listening or watching. So let's just get right down to it. Something happened last year. I don't know if you guys remember I think it was January 5th, no, January 6th. Yes, January 6th. There was a rally that occurred at the same time that the election was being confirmed. Basically the electoral votes were being confirmed, and Trump went out there and, being the bigly self that he is, went out there and basically, he made a fool of himself. Yeah, let's just put it bluntly. So, little bit. Those of you who don't know me, I am not a Trump fan. I never was. Not today a Trump fan. I wasn't back then. I was what you would call a never Trumper. I'm a conservative, but Trump has really never been conservative. He was a liberal for most of his adult life until the winds shifted, and he thought, well, if I act like a Republican, which again, Republican and conservative are not interchangeable most times, then he would, just run for president. Hey, why not? Let's see what happens. He won the presidency, much to my chagrin. I did not vote for the man, was not going to vote for the man. I did vote for him the last time around because Joe Biden, and look what's happened there. So essentially, I'm a never Trumper. I'm a never Trumper. I don't want him again either. Even though he did some good stuff, there's no doubt about it. He was effective on many fronts, and I think he kind of had his finger in the dam, if you will, on a lot of issues. But he's too polarizing for our country. We're already polarized. He made it more polarized. I mean, again, 8 years of Obama, that's going to create a lot of polarization on top of Donald Trump and then on top of Biden. And we're almost at a breaking point. So I digress. So we go back to January 6th of last year. Trump is having this rally, and he's basically up there just stirring the pot. Oh, they stole the election, and I deserve investigations into all these different states, and I deserve this and that, and you deserve this and that, and American people, blah 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 blah. And some people got agitated, there's no doubt about it. When I heard about this going on, I wasn't watching it at the time, but when I heard about this going on, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So a bunch of people have, and again, I was listening, I heard it on the radio. People were storming the Capitol, and I was like, I'm so embarrassed right now. I'm embarrassed as an American. I'm embarrassed as a conservative, as somebody who has voted for Republicans in the past. I was extremely embarrassed about what was going down January 6th. But then I started watching the clips and reading into what was going on and looking at the videos and realizing, and the sound bites and everything that was going on, and realized that this was almost a big nothing burger. Yes, people stormed some gates. And in other places, the gates were set aside by the Capitol Police. Yes, people broke some windows, but in other parts of the Capitol building, doors were open and people were let in. I saw somebody walking around with a podium. Oh my God. Apparently somebody stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop. That's not nice. That's not good. That's illegal. You should probably, not do that. So all this stuff happened. And of course, then the tragedy of Ashley Babbitt, who, was trying to force her way with some other people into another part of the Capitol, got shot in the face basically by an individual. And yep, that was actually the crescendo right there. That was kind of the low point, but it really was a crescendo of the so-called violence on that day. And the left ran with this as the most devastating thing to ever happen in the United States. The people were comparing it to World War II, to Pearl Harbor, and comparing it to 9/11. This is not hyperbole. People were actually comparing what happened on January 6th to these atrocious events. Was there violence? Of course there was. There's always going to be violence when there's a mob that's angry and is trying to bust through the line. Were there people injured? Yes, of course. There's always going to be injuries in these types of protests. Was anybody killed? Yes, one person. Another person died a couple days later, but that was from not non-related injuries to, that had anything to do with January 6th. So why has the left just made this into this huge, this is they almost make it sound like there was blood running in the streets. Coming down, the National Mall, the blood was just filling into the reflecting pool, and there, just mayhem everywhere. That wasn't really the case. We've seen the videos, and now, a year later, they're finally kind of having this trial. I'm not really sure that it's really a trial. It's a hearing, because, they've arrested a lot of people and kept them in jail for a very long time for simply walking onto property that they own. Yes, we own that property. I'm a taxpayer. Are you a taxpayer? Yeah, you're a taxpayer too. I'm going to assume if you live in the United States, you are also a taxpayer. So all of that being said, fast forward a year, we're having these committee hearings, and I was not going to watch them. David Foster, God bless him, decided to live stream it and comment, and I started watching this on his stream, and I was like, oh, good Lord. This may be the biggest crock of shit I've ever seen from our federal government. It was so drummed up, and all the way. In fact, they had this feeling of like these drums just beating, right? As Liz Cheney was talking about, Trump stirred up the violence and called for people to storm the Capitol and all this, and here's the timeline. And by the way, some of the timeline stuff doesn't really fit, but that's not the point here. Then they started showing video, and they warned us. They warned us in front of this video, there's some language here, and there's extreme violence. So they showed this video of kind of what was happening and what happened, and they blew it way out of proportion. Even their own video was of course there was a lot of cussing, especially from the cops that were like, oh, crap, we can't handle this because we're understaffed and under-resourced. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi. And, some people, out in the crowd were saying stupid shit like hang Mike Pence and stupid stuff like that. But it wasn't the entire crowd. There were a few people that, probably should have had a little bit of a visit from the Secret Service. Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. But to call this an insurrection, based on even the clearly edited and cherry picked video that they provided in the video that they showed in yesterday's hearing, that was not an insurrection. There was no insurrection. How do you have an insurrection when you're not even armed? Nobody in that crowd was armed. Nobody was brandishing firearms or M16s or AR-15s or whatever kind of. No one even had a BB gun, as far as I know. We would have heard about it if they had, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. So now we are being distracted from multiple stories in the media by this January 6th hyperbole. And by January 6th, I mean it's all hands on deck. There's alarms blaring everywhere. Everybody focus on January 6 hearings. Nothing else is going on in the country. Only the January 6 hearings matter. That's all that people are thinking about right now. Except that's not true. That's not true at all. So, I have to show this off, Grim. This is for your benefit. I made my own stinger, so I'm going to actually switch over to my desktop. Yeah, I did that. I know I could probably shorten it or whatever, but yeah, I created that. Jealous? No? Okay, I don't think so. So if you're not a follower of Twitchy, they are a Twitter aggregator, if you will, and they make fun of all sorts of Twitter threads and people posting shit on Twitter, and they're a great resource if you want to have a good laugh about what's going on social media. But I was, this was highlighted to me earlier today, and I was like, you know what? This is exactly how I feel. This is exactly how I feel. And this Twitter user that we're going to look at, he has a great thread that I want to share and kind of talk through with you. Oh, here we go. Here is the Twitter, my Twitter client. This guy is Larry Correa. Pretty interesting spelling of Correa, I-E-I-A. Monster Hunter 45. But anyway, the ugly truth the Beltway can't grasp. It isn't that regular America doesn't care about January 6th. It's that they hate you for making their lives miserable. So when they saw you cowering, they thought, good. Now they know what it feels like to be afraid. So I'm not of the mindset, by the way, that we should be storming capitals or protesting outside of justices' homes or, harassing our politicians in public spaces. But the reality is that occasionally the people that think they govern us, that think they are our rulers, they think that they are our betters, they need to shake a little bit. They need to have a little fear instilled in them. They need to be able to understand that, oh, you know what? I'm supposed to be doing the will of the people. And if I fail them in any way, I deserve whatever's coming to me. Now, granted, not violence. Because I'm not, trust me, I'm not a violent person. I'm a big pussycat. But these people should understand this. They should fear us. This is one of the tenets of our founding fathers that they believed in so strongly, that our government should not just run rampant, run roughshod all over us. They should fear us. And again, that's the reason behind the Second Amendment. And it's remarkable. So Larry Correa goes on to say the government fucked over regular America with COVID, the C word, I know. Then let cities burn because Democrats were having a tantrum. Then let half of them feeling cheated and disenfranchised. And you're shocked none of them give a shit when politicians got temporarily discomforted for one day? The further you get from the Beltway, the more Americans hate and distrust their government. Why shouldn't they? You do nothing but fuck them over while your pet media blatantly lies to their faces. I can't argue with this. Now, there is some geography things to consider here, the Beltway being on the East Coast, and you could draw that map to the center of the country where a lot of us live. Yeah, we're not so keen on our government. But then you get to the other coast and it starts all over again. So that's just gradient fill, if you will, right? The closer you get, the further you get away from the coasts, the more disdain we have for the country, because we are a flyover country. We don't like our government because of the way they treat us. It's not that we don't like the people, and that we just don't like being treated this way. They hated you a year and a half ago. Now you fuck the economy. Their money is worthless. They can't buy gas or food, and you're shocked that they don't give a shit about your pathetic Soviet show trial, crying about how you felt scared for one day. I feel this guy so much. He's nailing it. Where was the big public trial about the abysmal fuck up in Afghanistan that so many Americans wasted time, money, and lives on? No shit. Where's the trials on that? I don't know. Where was the big public trial for the 100 other Biden fuck ups? Where was it? We all know the answer, which just further illustrates why we despise you. And despise is probably an apt word here. So many of us do despise our government. I don't know that I'd 100% despise, but I'm very disappointed. There's no doubt in my mind I'm very disappointed. Let's think about this for just a minute. And Larry Correa here outlined it very well. In 2020, as things were ramping up for the election and all that, we were hit with a pandemic. We were told very early on, hey, we're going to shut things down. But for a week. And you know what? No, let's make it 2 weeks. We're going to call it 2 weeks. To basically flatten that curve, that infection curve. And what became remarkably clear inside of a month was that nobody knew what was going on. They were just pulling shit out of their ass and hoping it would stick and hoping it would work. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. It didn't happen. Instead, local, state, and federal government all failed us. They all overreacted, despite the mounting evidence of what was actually going on with COVID. They all failed us. They made it political. Of course they did. Who was president? Donald J. Trump. Who hates Donald J. Trump? The Beltway. Most local and state governments hated Donald J. Trump. So they tried everything they could do to make this political. So the minute you decided as a peace-loving American to not wear a mask, you were suddenly a grandmother killer. You should be willing to sacrifice your business, your small business that you have built up over the past 10 years. You should be able to sacrifice that for the greater good. You should be willing to take a hit. Just work from home, stay home. Don't go see your family. Don't go to your relatives' funerals. In fact, don't even have funerals. Forget about getting married. Don't get married because COVID. Hey, we're going to mask all your children and we're going to tell them to stay home as well. And they're going to get left behind in school as a result. Yeah. By the time election day came around in 2020, a lot of people were pissed, especially again in that gradient that we talked about a minute ago. A lot of us were just up in arms and pissed. We were told the vaccines, we go post election. We were told the vaccines, they're going to work. They're foolproof. You get the vaccine, you're good. course, that was a lie, as we're now finding out with all the documents that Pfizer has been releasing and all the studies that have been done. The vaccine didn't stop anything. If anything, it made things worse. All of this was bubbling under the surface. Prices were already rising at this point. It wasn't awful yet, but things were going south. And January 6th comes along, and there, yes, on election night, there were some inconsistencies. There were some things that, as I was watching the returns come in, I'm like, that's irregular. Yeah, it was the little things like, we stopped counting. Why'd you stop counting? That makes no sense. If elections matter, if this is so, important, why would you stop counting? It's very odd to me. So some of the irregularities with the way things were called early. Yes, in the past, states were called, but when they were clear that that the states were going to go one way or another. In some cases, in this election, the states were so close. It's like, how could you possibly even know? Especially after what happened with Hillary Clinton and all her polling. Remember that? So how could you know all this stuff? So that it started simmering. And here we are simmering, and January 6th comes, and the people that were there boiled over. No doubt. They should not have done what they did. I'm going to say it right now. They should not have done what they did. But to call it an insurrection and to put it at the feet of Donald J. Trump, whom, again, I have no love for, is irresponsible and shows a complete disdain for regular Americans. Fast forward, and of course they're having hearings. Why are they having hearings now? Why? It's kind of odd timing, don't you think? They've been at this for a while. They could have done this anytime. We're in like that beginning season of the midterms, combined with daily bad news about our economy. We got baby formula shortages on the one hand. We have soaring inflation on the other. We've got our federal government printing money like it's monopoly money. We've got some mass shootings going on. We've got suicides through the roof with our teenagers. We got woke companies telling us, telling regular Americans what to think and what to do. It's not a good time if you're a progressive, because the rest of the country hates you. We despise you. I hate using the word hate. I don't hate anybody, but I'm not very happy with these people. What do you think is going to happen? So, January 6th, yes. January 6th. You know what? We should do something about it. So let's have these hearings. Let's have these hearings and time it in such a way that all these other things will miraculously disappear. Inflation? Gas? Who needs food or gas? We don't need... I want to know what's going on with January 6th. We need to hold these people accountable. People need to go to jail. I want to see Donald J. Trump behind bars. That's the most important thing to me right now. But most Americans don't feel that way. Most Americans look at the super high inflation that's going on right now. They go to the pump and fill their gas tank up, and it costs them $80, $90, $100. They can't get baby formula for their infants. It costs 25% more this year than it did last to feed your family. Yeah, let's distract everybody with a little bit of a show trial. Everybody loves a good train wreck. And if a train wreck and a dumpster fire had a baby, it wouldn't look as cute as this. That's what the media wants you to see. They want to marry these things and just to present it to you in a package and say, look at this. Look at all these evil people that wanted to destroy our democracy. Because democracy dies in darkness. It's ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. And I have a theory about that, by the way. But let's go on a little bit. So I want to talk about specifically about the idea of the people on January 6th being afraid. So Thomas Jefferson, this is a very famous quote from Thomas Jefferson, but it's always taken out of context. He said, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants." So this was actually a letter that he was talking about, where he was talking about a rebellion in Massachusetts. It's like a little mini rebellion, if you will. The full Constitution had not been fully ratified at this point, but we were a free country, right? And here's what he said about this revolution. And this, by the way, this blows my mind. The man was a genius. He was an absolute genius. He was a prophet in many ways. What country before ever existed a century and a half without a rebellion? What country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. Gun grabbers. Thomas Jefferson believed in taking arms. The remedy is to set them right as to facts, pardon and pacify them. What signify a few lives lost in a century or two? The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure. And this is not, I'm not saying this stuff to be, revolutionary or anything like that. I'm just saying what happened last year on January 6th is exactly this. It didn't come to bloodshed, thank God. But it came to a lot of pissed off people that wanted to show that they were pissed off. There was no insurrection. They weren't trying to overthrow any government. But they were showing their disdain. They were showing their just their indigestion at our government. Because that's really what it is. It's indigestion. We're all feeling it, right? And this is necessary. At some point, it's going to come to blows. There's no doubt in my mind it's really going to come to blows. I'm not looking forward to that day. It could happen in my lifetime. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. Which is why we've got to do something about this. And by do something, I don't mean the standard, progressive thing of do something, hashtag do something. Right? I'm talking about actually doing something. There's a provision in our Constitution which allows the states to come together in a convention, it's also known as a convention of the states, to amend the Constitution to fix things that could not normally be fixed through the normal amendment process. And the Convention of the States is a powerful tool. It's never been used before. And if it were used, we could do so much to fix what is wrong with our country. Some of the things that people have talked about are things like amending the Constitution to put in term limits. I'm not so sure that that's the right idea, but I'm of the mindset that Congress should not be in session year round. I think that's one of the things that could really fix things, because they have way too much time on their hands. They go in there and they just blather on about this monument, and how much money I need, we need for this monument in my state, or how much, we need to, put a title on some, this particular legislation. We're going to debate this particular title of this legislation for 6-7 hours today, and maybe tomorrow as well. What a waste of time. We need to put in a more of a system, very much like the state of Texas has, where the state of Texas is only in session every other year, and even then for a limited amount of time. Yes, the government can call special sessions, but that's basically a way to get legislatures to focus on the things that actually matter, not all this trivial bullshit that we see in our government today. Let's trim that fat by making these people focus in a short amount of time to get things done. The second thing I would do with the Convention of the States is I would make sure that if you are a legislator, that you cannot live in Washington, D.C. You can have an apartment there when everything's in session, but you are not allowed to live in Washington, D.C. because you now have to go back to where you came from and face your constituents. This was the way it was in the beginning. You think somebody like John Adams, just like lived in D.C. or Philadelphia? Of course not. He was a farmer. He had a farm. I mean, he was a lawyer first, but he had a farm. And he had to go back and face his constituents. That's something we need very much in this country. We need accountability, and we don't have accountability in this country anymore. Part of it is we have gotten way too big for our britches, but the other part is we don't send our legislators back home. We send them all over the world, and then they stay in their little bubble in D.C. and fester like the rest of the little wounds. And getting rid of California. Yes, we can get rid of California. I'm totally down with that. Let's just flick it away. So going back to, so yeah, we need a revolution, but it needs to be a legal revolution. So Convention of the States is the way to go. And yeah, I might do a complete other stream on that someday. So again, we're being distracted by everything that's going on, and it's so bad. It is so bad that most people don't even care about this. So here's a story on Twitchy again. Cable News Watch, they're kind of an aggregator on what's going on cable news, showing the ratings for the hearings from last night, and it's not good. I mean, what are they talking about? 11 million people watched total. Yeah, the January 6 hearings airing in primetime Thursday took in just 11 million viewers on those same three networks. Normally they get 18 to 20 million on those three networks. Obviously Fox is usually combined gets a lot more. But neither here nor there. That's so sad. That's so sad. So yeah, so CNN got their ratings actually got bolstered, but nobody cares about this. Nobody cares about the hearings. Why would I care if I'm sitting at home trying to figure out, should I even go to work because gas costs me too much? I mean, I've heard stories of people quitting their jobs because it makes more sense to collect unemployment than it does to get into a vehicle, drive to their job, and have to pay for that gas. That's how things have gotten. This is how topsy-turvy we are. Yep, and Alex says, hey, he predicted this ratings, Bob. When gas was $5, no one gives a shit about a 2-year-old protest where no one got hurt. Right? Right? Yeah, Alex, you are absolutely right about that. So yeah, it's just completely tanked. Based on the ratings, or lack thereof, a whopping $11 million on network, 11 million viewers on network. Most people were also buy with other businesses instead of worrying about BS from 17 months ago. Common sense. Yes. So yes, Ashley Babbitt did get killed and again, she was one of the protesters. It's not like she was a cop or not like she was AOC who was like trembling, hiding in a bathroom thinking she was going to get raped for some reason. AOC is crazy, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. I think she's nuts. I think she's certifiably insane. So yeah, what do you think, guys? Leave me some comments, some chats, whatever. What do you think about January 6th? And just in general, not even the hearings. The hearings are a sham. If you watched any of it last night, or if you plan on watching it tonight, pay close attention to the production value of these hearings. It feels very produced. Of course it does, because they're trying to sell you a bill of goods that just isn't real. So they're going to produce the heck out of it to make it seem like that this was like the most dastardly event in humankind history, that democracy was going to die as a result of this, that a bunch of people with flags stormed the Capitol and were going to overturn the election, because that makes sense. I love this. I don't remember who said this first, but I've been running with this on social media. With the whole gun control debate, say I want to ban the exact same guns and calibers and all that the January 6th protesters used and brandished at the January 6th insurrection. I would love to do it. Let's ban all those weapons. I think that would make a huge difference in this country. Except that no weapons were used or brandished, except by the Secret Service to kill Ashley Babbitt. Yeah. So there's that. Awkward. Yeah. January 6th is simply an extension of the war on conservatism. But you've heard me say that over and over again. It's a tool in the leftist pocket. Yeah, it is, but I think more people are wise to what's going on. And you're starting to see the first place I've started noticing these cracks, if you will, in the entire progressive movement, is on the social side. When libs of TikTok got suspended, and then got highlighted by Taylor Lorenz, a lot of people were like, I've never heard of this libs of TikTok. And they went and checked it out. And now so many people are speaking out about this, the LGBTQIA plus XYZ, whatever they are, woke movement, and are pushing back against it all of a sudden. Suddenly, it's okay to say detransition. You've got Bill Maher, who is he's not even moderate. He's not even middle of the road. When he's going, hey, dude, chill the F out with this woke crap. That's saying something. The cracks on the social and cultural side are starting to show. People are getting fed up. The entire, issue with CRT and the masking of children, and then teaching our children about LGBTQIA whatever lifestyles, and trying to transition children and give them puberty blockers and all that stuff is finally breaking through. Matt Walsh's documentary for the Daily Wire, What is a Woman? It's very popular. Who would have thought? And it's not just popular in a bubble, it's popular outside of that bubble. The cracks are starting to show. And when they throw a Hail Mary like the January 6th committee hearings, what that tells me is they are fearful. Their religion was attacked on that day. Hear me out. The progressives and leftists, by the way, I categorize those two differently, and we can talk about that later. But when they saw people going into the Capitol building that day, they were mortified. They were absolutely mortified. This would be akin to a bunch of Satanists running into St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and smashing in windows and stuff like that. The Catholics would be so destroyed by that. This is an affront to our religion, and an affront to Jesus Christ, and an affront to everything that we hold dear. Well, the progressives and the leftists, their religion is government. And when these people, these unclean masses, waltzed into the Capitol building, this was an affront to them. This was heretical. This was just a slap in the face to their religion and to their faith. This is why they hate it so much. Yes, they want to use it as a tool against conservatism, absolutely. But more than anything, this was an affront to them. This was something that was so disgusting, and this was, Charlie Hebdo, for what that was for some of the fringe Muslims. That's the way progressives and leftists feel about the government. You can't touch the government. You're not allowed to question the government. Absolutely. Why would you question the government? We're trying to create a ministry of truth, in fact. That's how badly we want to make sure that you can't question the government, because the government is infallible. Or infallible? Infallible. It is not, it's not up for debate. The president is the most high. And you can't criticize him. And if you do, we'll just cover it up with something else and we'll show him licking some ice cream and saying, "Hey, Jack." So when we, the people, the unwashed masses, or the unclean masses, waltzed into the Capitol building that day, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to a leftist. I get why they're so angry. If somebody attacked my religion, I would feel the same way. And that's where we're at. And this is why we're having this discussion. But then, of course, the smarter people on the left, and I say that slightly tongue-in-cheek, but the smarter people on the left understand how to use this situation for their benefit. They know, after everything that's gone on this year, after the absolutely failed presidency of the Bidens, and I say Bidens because Joe Biden himself he's not capable, so he's got Jill doing the rest of the work. But this has been a complete failure of an administration, a complete failure of government across the board. People are suffering, and the cracks are now showing on the legislative side as well, on the political side as well. Not just the cultural, not just the wokeness anymore. That was the first sign. But now we're seeing this Hail Mary from the January 6th committee at a time where, again, midterms are starting to ramp up. It's not a coincidence. The good news is most of us have not fallen for it, and we're not falling for it. Because there's going to be a bloodbath. There's a reckoning coming in the midterms. And it's not going to be pretty. And if things stay on the current trajectory, progressivism, as we know it, with the squad and the wokeism and all of that, will be decimated by 2024. That's how I feel. Now, all it's going to take is a couple of dumb yokels, or one, on the right to do something stupid and, basically undermine all the progress we've made to expose those cracks, to expose wokeism, to expose the progressives. All it's going to take is one or two dummies. Trump basically did that to himself, by the way, getting Biden elected. He did that to himself. All he had to do was just keep doing what he was doing with his mouth shut, and he would have won easily in the last election. So he was that yokel that I'm warning about. We don't need another Trump to come around. We don't need Trump to come around. We need somebody with principles, some people with principles, and with true conservative values to step forward and jump into leadership. Whether that's at the local level, which I think is the most important, state level or federal level, that just needs to happen. And nobody needs to do something stupid or say something stupid. We are at a fragile point in our history right now. The pendulum can still swing either way. And all it's going to take is for one dope to screw it all up for conservatism and for this country. So let's pray that doesn't happen. All right. So I'm done for the day. I've talked way too much. What's going on in chat? So, yeah, an insurrection so dangerous, filled with right-wing, ultra-MAGA, gun-toting terrorists. Yes, and not one of them brought a decent BB gun. Even I know. I was hoping to at least see a Red Ryder, right? you'll shoot your eye out, but you could probably accidentally shoot somebody else's eye out. I don't know. Where were the BB guns? And this highly Trump-orchestrated assault on the Capitol, and everyone went home that night. Exactly. Exactly. And like I keep saying to people on social media, worst insurrection ever. There was only blood was because, of a itchy, trigger-fingered Secret Service guy who shot Ashley Babbitt. She didn't deserve to die. Does she deserve some sort of punishment for forcing herself, breaking windows, whatever it was she did? Probably. She probably should have been, seen some jail time or something, but getting shot in the head? She was unarmed. In fact, they were all unarmed. The Proud Boys brought their brass knuckles, but they take those everywhere, even church. Yeah. Yeah. I saw some people with sticks that they probably pulled off of trees in the mall or something. So, yeah, there were no guns. That's the thing. The Proud Boys, the Gavin McGinnis Beer Drinking Club, based on a show tune, is a threat to our government. Right. So, it reminds me, you guys remember the, of course you remember, this was the both sides, thing. There were good people on both sides from Trump, which if you read into the rest of that quote, that's not what he was really saying. But anyways, people are so scared of Nazis, those 12 people with tiki torches. And this is the sort of freak out I don't understand. I get it. They're trying to beat us over the head with it, making it our issue, as much as possible to the rest of the world, the rest of the country. But the reality is things like white supremacy, which is a bad thing, by the way, people. Saying that it isn't a thing doesn't mean that it's not a bad thing, but it's just not a thing. White supremacists are, you could basically bomb a city and not hit a white supremacist. Yes, they're out there. Absolutely, they are out there. I know of a very place, a nearby place to me where white supremacists are, known to live. But it's a small little community, like in the middle of BFE, and their numbers are dwindling. Nazis aren't running around. Remember for the 4 years that Trump was in office, everything was a Nazi. Everywhere was a Nazi. There was a Nazi everywhere. There's probably a Nazi right behind me right now, ready to jump up and hit me with their swastika. This is a mental. This is a mass delusion, is what this is. It's unbelievable. Alex says, seriously, it started as a drinking club that enjoyed throwing hands. That was pretty awesome. Then it shifted. Yeah. Yes, it did. And what's funny about some of those organizations that, they start off like that, and then some reporter somewhere sees them at a rally and goes, oh, they're white supremacists. We're all going to die. About the responsibility of being a man and actually being a man. When it shifted, yep, McGinnis left. That's correct. Yeah, exactly. When the leftist kook started following McGinnis around and assaulting him and attendees at events, that's right. And that's another part that's, and I don't have time to really go into the deep end on this, but there are several videos and several eyewitness testimonies of leftists that were at the edge of these groups that were screaming out, "Storm the Capitol!" Stirring up the pot, going into the Capitol themselves, and then not getting arrested even after the fact, even after all the footage and everything. But there's video evidence of this, of particularly leftist activists that are known to be Antifa or BLM supporters in the past, at the front lines of these things, wearing MAGA hats and acting like they're Trump supporters. Not this was not an organic, this was not an attempted insurrection by any, and there was no organization around this, but there were people that were egging it on. Absolutely. In fact, I was a little, when I first heard about the rally, before it even happened, that was one of the things I was concerned about. Was like, I hope nobody does something stupid, or I hope there's no, agitators that are going to be in the crowd. And there were agitators in the crowd. Some of them were probably feds. As we know, the feds love to infiltrate that sort of stuff. So, yeah, Antifa was bussed in and spearheaded breaking in at some points of entry. That's right. So one of them was a big LGBTQIA plus XYZ LMNOP guy, activist, that was wearing a MAGA hat. It's not going to happen, but he was wearing a MAGA hat, and he was one of the ones instigating. He got inside. When he got inside the Capitol, he was still egging them on, tear it to pieces, whatever it was he was saying. It was pretty remarkable. They left out all the video of the police and leftists opening doors of right. You know, where one camera was picking up where people were pushing in and breaking windows, they've left the footage out on the other side of the building where the cops were just opening the doors. Come on in. There's footage in the chambers where the Buffalo guy, Q Shaman or Shaman Q or whatever the hell his name was, walked in, and the guards are just standing around. They're doing this number. Hey, are y'all gonna leave soon? That was exactly their stance. Y'all gonna leave soon? You should probably go ahead and leave. Yeah, go ahead. There's the exit right over there. Go ahead and leave. That'd be fantastic if you just left. So now you want to go ahead and leave? No. Yeah. That's the way that there's literal footage of this. It's unbelievable. So to call this an insurrection, the biggest joke of our lifetime. Yeah, they definitely don't want those videos to come out. Guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm going to put this up. Hopefully it doesn't get taken down from me saying COVID and stuff like that. But don't forget, for those of you who are watching the people that are on here, they know me, that they're already subscribed. But if you're not, please hit subscribe, hit the bell, let you know when I post new content. I've been mixing it up. I've been putting some live content and some recorded content out there, having a little fun with editing software. I'm learning all different types of editing software. I just the stingers I did today in DaVinci Resolve. Kind of tricky, but I figured it out. It's pretty cool. And so anyway, so I've been creating recorded videos for a change, which is new to me. And then I'm still going to be live streaming, but come August, I'm going to be going full bore. And in fact, Alex, just so you know, I've got some ideas on collaborations that you and I need to talk about at some point. In fact, I've already talked to David Foster about it as well. As I'm thinking of doing that, we can do a collaboration between the three of us, do a talking head show like this. So, we can chat about it later, but definitely want to collaborate with you guys because that would be super fun. Yeah, so hey, just so everybody knows, anybody who doesn't know who the TPS report is, it's Alec McDonald, him and Danny. Oh, I'm gonna butcher her last name. I can't remember her last name. Anyways, Alex and Danny have a show called the TPS Report that they do a couple times a week. But then they have a members a supporter stream every Saturday at 10 a.m. and I believe that's Eastern time. Yeah, Danny Munoz, that's right. And yeah, if you go to, tpsreport.locals.com, is that correct? If you want to post the link there, Alex, that would be appreciative, and let people know where they can go ahead and support you. The TPS is great. Alex gets very riled up sometimes, gets very descriptive sometimes. And he does have a sailor's mouth, and that's fine. I'm all here for it. I love it. I think, and he's very unfiltered, and I love that too. I love watching Danny basically come in and just talk him down. All right, chill out, Alex, chill out. It's really good stuff. They put together great content. And also don't forget my buddy Grimskull over here. He's a graphics designer extraordinaire, if you will. One of my first experiences with him is I thought I was cool. I made a cool little graphic or whatever for the Creator Toolkit one time, and I put it up on my stream. I was like, hey, check this out. Yeah, I made that. Yeah. And then literally hours later, Grimskull comes out and oh yeah, I'll check this out. Bam! And it's all these lasers and and all this stuff coming. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm no good at this stuff. So, Grim, on the other hand, good at this stuff. So, and also, don't forget, I've mentioned at the beginning of the show, go check out Redacted. I believe it's Monday through Thursdays now. They're a great show. And David Foster, who is, the original live streaming pro, he also does a political show now on his Unapologetic channel. So go check that out. Anyways, again, come subscribe at and hit the bell. I'm trying to grow this a little bit. Maybe start getting a community together. We'll see. But thank you for coming. Have a wonderful day, and peace out. Love you guys. Bye.